Welcome back, everyone. I want to apologize. I know this video took forever to come out, and I know people have been requesting it. I've just been really busy and it's been hard to make videos recently. But anyway, this video is meant for people that have an Intel CPU, whether it be inside of a laptop, a handheld, ROG NUC. Not really as much for desktops because you're plugged into the wall pretty much all the time. But anyway, if you have one of those three kinds of devices, then this video is meant for you. As it turns out, the only reason I actually know about this method is because I own one of these. This is a GPD Win 3, and somebody online had made a method for adjusting the TDP with a graphical user interface, and it's honestly the most user-friendly way I know of doing this, because there's a lot of methods that show you how to do it with the command line, but for a handheld device, it's just really not that practical. So figuring out how to adjust TDP on something portable like this is pretty important. Anyway, if you have an AMD processor, there's already a couple videos on how to manage TDP. You can look up things like Ryzen 80J and simple Ryzen TDP. I can also link videos in the description if you're having trouble finding those, but I am not going to make a tutorial on how to do that just because there's already videos out there. Now, again, this video is meant for people that are running Linux and more specifically SteamOS, but if you have just a regular install of some distribution, then it should still work fine. The steps are virtually the same. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and head into desktop mode. Alright, now that you're in desktop mode, head over to your favorite browser and just paste the link that I put in the description. It'll take you to this page right here. You want to start by copying this and then just pasting it into terminal. I already have it, so it's not going to let me do it again. Then you're just going to want to update it just in case it's not up to date. Do the same thing. Alright, then this is the important part. You are going to want to copy this right here so you can actually have a graphical interface for changing your TDP. So just copy that, and I already have it, so it's not going to do anything. Shouldn't do anything. You'll want to hit yes. I already have it, but I'll just do it again. Does not include icons. If you want to, you can add an icon. I already have one selected. I'm just going to say no. Just going to hit OK. Cool. Then what you can do is look up TDP, and it should pull this up right here. It might take a second or two for that to show up. Once it's there, though, you can click on it, and then it'll show you this box right here. And these are all the options you get for changing your TDP. What you can do now is go back to this right here. Once you've verify that it works, you can just hit add to Steam. It should just add it as a non-Steam game, which is fine. And once that's finished, you are going to want to change the actual script, because you do not have a GPD Win 3, I'm willing to bet. If you do, you don't have to worry about this part. But your laptop or whatever you're using, like if it's an Intel NUC or something, is probably not going to have the same maximum TDP wattage. So in order to figure that out, you're going to go over to Google and just search up whatever processor you have. I'm going to look up Intel 8300H and then like max TDP. And right here it says 45 watts. So I'm going to keep that in mind, because if you go over to where the script is, it is located in home, local, GPD Win 3, and then scripts, and it's this TDP one right here. Now, in order to get to this location, you actually do have to do something. So all of these folders right here that are kind of darker, you're not going to be able to see them initially, so you're going to have to go into your hamburger menu right here and hit show hidden files. That should pull up all of these folders here. From here, you can go into local, GPD Win 3, scripts, and then over here where TDP is, you're going to want to open this with some text editing software. And it should open up this right here. And this is where you're going to want to pay attention. This is where the values are going to be different for you. based on your maximum TDP. I set mine to 45 because it's the max, and then what you can do actually to look for all the areas where you have to change the TDP is you can do Control F, and then I just typed in max, and it'll show you everywhere where that shows up. So I'm just going to go back to the top here. Well, you can actually go through the results by pressing these arrows. So I'm going to go back up to the top. You will first want to change your max TDP to whatever it is for your device. Then the next result, min, max, don't worry about that one. Max, I would not worry about that either. Okay, here's another area where it matters. This is actually going to be the menu that you see when you pull up the TDP menu. So if I just pull this up right here, and I go to change TDP and hit OK, this is where you see these values here, 8, 15, 20, 25, 35, all that. So if I scroll through, you can see that it's reflected here. Now, this is going to be I'm just going to close out of this. This is going to be different. These values are going to change. So you'll want to keep in mind that the bottom one here is probably what you want your max to be set for. You might not even want to set it to the maximum TDP. You might want to go a little bit lower or higher depending on how much battery you want to save. I set mine to 45, and then I just kind of incremented down. The increments aren't like exact, but the lowest one I decided to set was 8, and then I just have values between 8 and 45. So you're going to want to change those, and then you're also going to want to change this right here. These values here are going to be what you see, and then these values are what's running in the background. This is your actual TDP. So you are going to want to change both of these. Then I'm going to go down and make sure that there's nothing else that I need to change, and it doesn't really look like it. This is also important. Just make sure that you have your minimum value for TDP here and your maximum here. You can set the minimum values when it asks for a custom TDP. So if you wanted custom, you could just go custom down here, and this is where you can set like whatever number you want instead of having to worry about these values. It's just a little easier to click than typing stuff in and whatnot, especially if you have like a controller set up or something. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to close out of this, and once you're done changing the values that need to be set here, just make sure that you save the file. Just make sure everything in here is saved. I'm just going to go over here and it's already saved, but I'm going to do it again. Save out of that, close this, and from here you can go back into game mode, but before I do that, I'm going to go back to my TDP graphical user interface, and I'm going to change it actually, because right now it's at 45. Now the way you can check what your TDP is actually set to is by going into terminal. Let me just clear this up real quick, and you can download something called Turbostat. So on Fedora, I'm going to just show you how to do that. You're going to go sudo dnf install kernel tools. It might already be installed, but just in case, I'm going to do that. And I don't have to because it's already there, but you might have to do that, so just type that into terminal anyway, just in case, and I'm going to run it. It does require elevated permissions. Alright, so this is a lot of text, but what you want to look for is something called PKG limit, and you'll notice here that the PKG limit 1 is 45, and then there's 2, which is a little bit over that. It's not really a huge issue, but this is what your current wattage is right here. And so if I wanted to change that, all I have to do is go back into TDP Manager and go to change, hit OK. I'm going to minimize that. I am going to change it to 20 and then hit OK. And it's going to ask for my password. That's fine. I don't really care. You can change that if you want to. I think there's a way to do it, but I'm not going to go over it right now. So you can see that it was changed in the GUI. It says that PL1 is 20, PL2 is 20. I'm going to go back into my terminal, and then I'm going to go I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom and do Control C to get out of that. I'm going to clear this because I don't want it to show up again, so I'm going to clear it. Then I'm going to go run the same command, sudo turbostat, and now I'm going to look for the same thing, pkg limit. You'll notice that the pkg limit for the first limit is 20, and the second is also 20. So you know it's working. You know that's your actual TDP for your CPU. And if we go into game mode, it should work the exact same way. I'll show that as well, just because game mode is its own animal. So I will get back to you on that here in a minute. I am going to go to my non-Steam games and open up TDP Manager. And then it should just open up this menu right here. If you want to set up controller inputs, you can, but I haven't done it yet, so I'm just going to use a mouse and keyboard. I'm going to go to check at first. I'm pretty sure the TDP does remain the same. Yeah, okay, so it's still 20. Just go ahead, if you want to change it in here, hit change, hit OK. It'll show you all the values that you had previously set. And I'm just going to go with, we'll go with something low so you can tell that the TDP has been changed. Hit OK. And then it's going to ask for a password. You can disable this. We'll show you on the website how to do it. But okay, now we're at 8 watts, and you'll notice that the menus are going to be a lot slower. So if I open up the side menu, it's going to go through these options really slow. So I'm just going to go back to TDP Manager, and we can set it to, we'll say 45, which is the maximum. If you don't change the maximum TDP limit, it's going to give you a warning saying something like, oh, you can't go over this threshold. But if you follow the last part of the video where I showed you how to change the max, then it should not be a problem for you. So let's go ahead and set a custom one. I'm going to go with 45, and you can do this with the menu if you have that value in the menu. If you set it to one of the values, just going to hit OK. And it's like, oh, do you want PL2 to be set to the same thing? It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to hit yes. I don't know. And then it's going to ask you for your password again. So we're at 45 watts. I'm going to hit cancel. You can scroll down and hit exit and OK, but it's just faster to do cancel because it still changes your TDP. And my menu is much faster now. It is how it is supposed to be. And I am going to actually change this back to 20 because it's a little bit better for battery life. Some people, are constantly plugged into the wall with their laptop or their handheld, but I like portability. So if you want to do your battery a favor, just go ahead and actually change the TDP to something else. So I'm going to go with 20 again. And I'm not going to notice too much of a difference. All right, 20 watts, cool. Yeah. But still have relatively quick menus, and yeah, we're doing pretty solid. So that's pretty much all you need to know. So again, if you do want to actually check to see what those values are, just to verify that they have been changed, you can go into console, and I'm just going to do the same command again, sudo turbostat, enter, and then it's going to ask me for the password, of course. And I'm going to hit the search button and then go pkg limit. Should be right here. You can see 20 watts, 20 watts. And so it has been changed. So that is how you change your TDP and then go ahead and check it. I'm going to close out of this. And that's pretty much it. Now you can play all your favorite games on Linux without worrying about your battery immediately dying. If you're on Windows, you should consider switching over to Linux. If you like the kind of content that I make, please consider subscribing and go ahead and leave a like on the video if it helped you out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.